Hey guys, welcome back. Happy belated Thanksgiving to all of my friends here. It's the day after, so of course we're trying to recover from all that food we ate yesterday. Hey listen, today I got to get the Jeep ready because tomorrow I'm taking the kids down to some lower elevation and we're going to go do some four-wheeling. Alright, yeah, we're going to go four-wheeling tomorrow. It's Saturday, the temps should be pretty good. It'll be a nice day to do it. So I'm going to take my kids in the Jeep. Actually, we're going to tow the thing down a little bit south of here to hopefully where there's some warmer temps. Hopefully be up in the 60s tomorrow down there. And some nice off-road area where we can get out and do some four-wheeling in the Jeep. It should be a good time. But before we go, I got to get a bunch of projects done on the Jeep. So follow along here as I walk through a couple of the things I want to get done before we head out in the hills. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to have to hook my tow bar on the Jeep. So I have it over there, we'll swing that thing on, tighten it down, and then I'll give you guys some of the tips and tricks I picked up on how to flat tow these things. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, rip this seat out. Oh, by the way, some of you have said stuff about my seats. Yeah, I hate them. They're ugly, they're not Jeep seats. They're actually fairly comfortable, but they sit up too high. They take up too much room, they're too big. I don't like them. Yes, I'll get rid of them one day and hopefully put some just like this in there, some regular Jeep seats that I have like in my Model A down in there, or build something where it can sit a little lower, a little bit further back. Yeah, don't worry about that. The Jeep purists don't get upset at me. One day that'll change. But I'll pull that seat out to give myself access up under the dash because I'm going to put a heater in the thing. So here's some stuff that came with the Jeep. Right here being a heater unit. I don't know what it's out of. It's kind of a universal deal, but it's a 2-speed high and low unit. Hopefully has a good core in it. So that's going to have to go in. I have some other stuff to get done included in that project. Oh, and then finally I have my towing taillights, but I got no clip for them. So I'm going to have to come up with a trailer plug and then a way to hook that thing up on the old back. Hook it up to plug it into my Yukon so we can tow the thing. So that shouldn't be too bad. But let's talk a little bit about electrical stuff while we're on that wiring. So today what I'll do, I'll show you how to do that eventually, but also I've got to hook up power to this thing. It's pretty easy. It's all 12-volt system, but when I dig underneath the dash on that Jeep, I can't find a single fuse. And I don't know if that's how they came from the factory or what, but I'm here to tell you there's no fuses in that thing. And that hurts me to say that. It works fine. So far, no issues. Apparently, since 1964, no issues, but I'm going to put some fuses in there because that's driving me nuts. As I start adding some accessories like this heater, like my little aux port so I can plug in things like my little air compressor, I'm going to put some fuses in there. So I picked up one of these little cheapy fuse blocks. I'll probably mount this up under the dash, some fuses, and then have a hot wire, you know, that comes off somewhere, and I'll go through this before I head out to my switches for my heater. Okay. The other thing we're going to do with this heater is we're going to be able to isolate it. So I got bunch of fittings, adapters here, and some valves so we can isolate this thing. So in the summertime, I don't necessarily want this thing cycling hot water through it all the time and making some little bit of ambient heat or inadvertent heat there in the front of the Jeep. So it's nice to be able to just isolate that thing in the summer, and then we can open it up for the winter so I can run it. So we'll do that as well. So I'll have the hood up, I'll show you how that's rigged up, heater hoses, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I've got to run a few errands in a little bit. I'm going to try to get the Jeep prepped, pull that seat out, and get up under that dash, and at least find where I can pull some power wires, and hopefully find not too many other things I just can't live without fixing underneath that dash before we get too far with this project. So, alright, here we go. Alrighty guys, here's where I'm sitting now. I took that ugly seat off, 3 bolts, pretty easy. Took it off, discovered that this wire was breaking loose and kind of hanging loose, which would explain my fuel indication problems. So I replaced the end on that, cleaned up a little bit and tightened these bolts down where it looked like it was seeping around there. So before I could even get to the project, I kind of poked my head under there, and there are some fuses. They're in line in a couple of different things, and that's good. We'll go with that. But I am trying to scope out where to put that little heater box now. So in the Jeep, this is where the original heater would have gone. And if I'm not mistaken, it had a big vent hose that pulled off here for a fresh air vent into the Jeep. I don't think I'm gonna go there. I can look at it and see, but that's an option, but I kind of got to just get up under my dashboard now. I know what's gonna happen. I hate doing it. You guys have been there, right? I hate laying on my back with my feet hanging out underneath the dash, but I'm gonna be there. I can't, there's no way around it on this one. So I'm gonna get under there. I'll get up under and look for where this heater box is gonna mount. Might have to fabricate a couple mounts for it. No problem, we can do that. And then while I'm there, I'm gonna scope out the wiring, probably just pull a hot wire off the back of the switch, go through my fuse and tie it into there. And then this is in the Jeep, this old receptacle for like a, you know, an aux port or something has been in the Jeep. There's the wire I found that just dangles. So I'll probably put a fuse in that, see if I can make that work to run my little air compressor as well. But this thing's really slick. The guy that sold me this Jeep really hooked me up. Here's my dad. My dad sold me this Jeep. Really hooked me up. It has this little universal deal. It's kind of old. You know, the fan's kind of a little bit beat up, but as long as I don't beat up against it, I think it'll be fine. 2 speeds, right? 2 wires on it. We can throw it on a battery and check it in a little bit, but it's got a high and a low. And this looks pretty universal, the way these brackets work. They can go here, or I can flip them up on this side, so I can mount it either way. And really, the reason I would do that is for my hoses, where I want my hoses to exit and then go tie into the Jeep, because one of my hoses is going to go here. See, it's just looped and bypassed. One's going to be up here on this fitting up on the top, and the other one will come off here, somehow go in through the firewall. This is an old plug on the firewall, so I might use that because I hate punching holes in this thing. So I might do that. Depends on where I mount this thing. We'll see how it goes. So I'm going to fiddle with this for a little bit and see what I can come up with on where to mount that heater box, and probably I'll spare you guys the pain of watching me dangle with my feet up with my head under the dash while I get under there. But I'll bring you back in a minute. We'll see how far we get. Okay, so with a little fiddling around here, it might be kind of hard to see, but this thing's going to go right here in the middle. It's going to mount just like this, right in there, but a little bit over towards the passenger side. So my fancy little ashtray is going to have to come off. So I'll just unscrew that thing, and then I will probably, I'll flip these mounts around because I want the heater up under the dash like this, so the hoses come out more near the passenger side. And probably what I'll end up doing is having to just, we'll see. Maybe I can make them come through this hole. I might have to punch a hole because it's about right here where it'll be. So anyway, that's pretty easy. And then I just got some square tube I dug out of my scrap bin. I don't know what this originally came with, but I think I can just cut a couple pieces. I might have to weld the tab on the one end, and I could probably come right here on the lip of the dash like this, and bolt one end there, and then bolt the other end. Maybe if I do it right, I can line up on a bolt there on the firewall, a hole at least, and if not, we'll figure it out. But I might have to weld a little tab on there so that I can stick it to the firewall, stick it to here, and then I'll weld my, I'll bolt the heater to it. So, okay, I gotta remove that thing. Lots of little fiddling around to do, cutting, flipping these brackets over to this side. Piece of cake. Okay, so that was kind of a pain, but I built my brackets that'll go underneath the dashboard. One of them is going to tie into a stud that's already existing under the dash. The other one, there was a hole, well, I'll show you, there's a big hole with a plug in it right here. And so I'm just going to be able to use that hole for my other side. They're going to swing up underneath the dash, right in here, and my heater will mount into there, no problem. Now while the paint's drying on those two brackets, I'm gonna go ahead and come back in here and drop that ignition switch down and start looking at some wiring. I'm gonna mount my little fuse block under there somewhere, and I'm gonna run a fuse over and try to get this thing working, and then find a place to put my switch for my heater. And while I'm at it, I might try to get this light to work. This little light, it's been in here, never worked. I think it's tied to that white switch next to it. So we'll try it, maybe have some kind of interior light. So let's do that, mess with a little electronics, mount that fuse block, see if we can get some power happening. And then the paint will be dry, I'll throw those in, button that thing up, and then it'll just be a matter of plumbing it. Alright, here I am under the Jeep dash. And you can see what I ended up doing here is I made myself a little fuse block. Well, I bought a little fuse block, but then I tied my jumper wire over. I'm just going to tie this in on the accessory part of the ignition switch. And then I'll run some fuses all in there, and then just whatever accessory I want to run off there, like my little accessory port here, my light, which I determined that this light up here, it actually works, it's just the switch was bad. So I'll put a new switch in that, and then I'll put a switch right below it there for my heater, which is the whole point of this project. And I'll just run those off of those fuses like that. And I think that's going to work pretty well. The only other thing is I got to figure out and demonstrate what the heater here. There's two wires on it, and it's a 2-speed heater. So I'm going to go over to the battery, get my switch, I'll rig it up there, and we'll do some testing on this thing, so that we can determine which wire is high speed, which wire is low speed. Okay, so here's the battery on the rig. I got my little test switch here. Just going to clamp my one side on the negative pole on the battery. And then I'm going to clamp my other side here on ground, on the heater itself. Okay, now I'm going to go with the orange wire. Let's try that orange wire, touching. Okay, let's try the red wire. Sounds to me like the red wire is low speed. Yeah, okay, red wire low speed, orange high speed. Okay, now we got to just mount this bad boy under the dash, and then hook up, well, all the time I finish tying up my wiring, and we'll mount this under the dash, and then we'll get to plumbing. Alright guys, we're getting there. It's pretty slow going here, but I built my brackets and I've got my heater clamped in there. That's where I decided to go with it. I like how it sits. Hopefully it can blow some heat towards the back even. But in the process I put my little fuse block in and wired in stuff like my interior light. I got my heater wired, I just got to hook it up. And then I wired this little guy too, so my receptacle works there. So I can run my compressor, and I'll show you guys here what it looks like underneath. There's my, I don't know if you can see through that clamp, but there's my fuse block. And yeah, I like it. I'm happy with that. Now I just need to even this up, drill a bunch of holes. And as much as I hate to, I got to punch some holes for my hoses to come through the firewall and out here and plug into the engine. But it's dinner time. Alright guys, I made a mess. Hey, does anybody else have this problem? You just can't throw away old wiring after a job, so you have boxes of wire. That might be a problem. Anyway, I got it wrapped up pretty good here for the night. I got it all mounted, tied in, I'm happy with it. Here, let's start with the engine. I'll show you guys how I ran my hoses. I got them all set up with my valves in them. There you go. There's my valves. There's my hoses plugged in, my two spots. They go through a grommet in the firewall. I'm just pretty pleased with how that came out. I only managed to dump a little bit of coolant on the ground in the process. Not too shabby. Here's what she looks like on the inside. And my heater. There's low speed, high speed. Alright, so that works. Tomorrow I will fire this thing up and bring it up on heat, let the engine warm up, and try to top the coolant off because it'll take a little bit more coolant to fill the heater core and the hoses. And I'll bolt my seats in, and then we'll do the tow bar. tow bar, hook our wires up, and we'll be ready to hit the road. Yeah, I think, oh yeah, when I put this thing in, I was practiced running it, and I had a 20 amp fuse in it, and it blew the fuse. So I went and got its big brother, the 30 amp fuse, and put in there. And if it blows that, there's bigger problems, but I think we're going to stick with a 30 amp fuse for the heater, that is, and call that good. So, okay, I'm beat. It's late. I'm going to call it a night. We'll come back in the morning. We'll hit that tow bar, and then we'll hit the road. It'll be a good time. Alright guys, it's adventure day. Kids are excited. They're inside packing up a lunch. I went ahead and buttoned up the rest of the stuff on the Jeep, fired it up, let it warm up, topped off the coolant, dumped some on my garage floor, hooked up my tow bar, and it's everything checks out good. That heater rips. Let it come up on temp a little bit and turn on the heater, and it blows hot air. It's good. One of these days when I get a top, I'll be able to contain that heat, and that'll be nice. Yeah, it's, man, looks ready. So I got the family truckster set up where I can hook up the tow bar too, but I got to connect my tail lights. That's where I'm at now. These came with the Jeep. Thanks, Dad. They're magnet. They're for towing. But here's the connection I had with it. So I had to spend a few bucks. I had to spend a couple bucks. Bought one of these little guys, and then the 7-pin to the 4-pin flat adapter that'll go in the family truckster. So I was going to do some trailer wire hookup connections and talk about that. And if you ever, if you haven't done trailer wires, it's pretty easy. You have a left turn, a right turn, and a driving light. If those lights come on, they should work. Your brake light should work and everything. But instead of going through all that, I got a hunch that if I just connect like color to like color and then plug it into the car, it might actually work. So I'm going to fiddle with that a little bit. Jam it in there and just walk over there and see if I get the turn signals and brake lights like I need. And if I do, we'll be ready to hook this this whole thing up and get ready to hit the road. Alrighty guys, got her hooked up. As I suspected, those wires were just a matter of putting that new end on, and they worked just right. But I got them hooked up on there. Got my tow bar connected with the safety chain. I had to go for the big ugly raise hitch because otherwise it was just tilted too far down on my normal low profile hitch. So I got that big one in there. My dad gave that to me when I was about 20, and he gave it to me, and I've used it on a truck. I've used it all for a bunch of different years, and finally he said, "Why do you keep using that big ugly hitch?" And I told him nobody's ever tried to steal it, so keep that for what it's worth. Here's how you tow, from what I've been able to tell on these things. You want the transfer case in neutral, which I have, and then you put your transmission in gear. So I've got it in high gear, third. And you want to do that because when you're towing with this thing and you don't have the driveline loose, it's spinning the output shaft, and without it, the transmission in gear, it'll burn stuff up because the transmission's not oiling appropriately. So they say, the internet, and the internet's never been wrong, says transfer case neutral, transmission in gear, front hub's unlocked. If I was towing far, I'd drop that rear drive line. It's just a matter of 4 bolts, tape it up, bungee it up out of the way. But really, we're only going to tow about 40 miles, so should be pretty easy. I think this guy's about ready to hit the road. All right, guys, we're here. We made it. This thing towed like a dream. It's great. 65 miles an hour right down the road. No issues. So we're going to hop in. I got the kids. We're going to turn this GoPro on and put it on the windshield. We'll do a little cruising with it. And we're going to go hit it. We're here in Colorado, just north of Penrose, Colorado, in Penrose Commons. It's some off-road area. There should be a lot of motorcycles, side-by-sides, that kind of stuff. But we're going to try to do it in the old Jeep. Enjoy. Pretty awesome extreme rock crawlers. Check out that bad boy. Yeah. So I was ready to take the Jeep down this trail over here, but the kids said, we should pass today. I don't know why. I don't know why they wimped out on it. So instead we'll just have some hot cocoa. and watch the show. Oh yeah, this guy make it look easy.
This guy's gonna make it look easy to that big guy.
That's pretty crazy. Hey guys, thanks for joining in on this adventure as I got to do a little bit of work on the old Jeep and then finally got out here in the hills to have a little bit of fun, have a good time with my kids. This is living, man. This is living. Go out there, make some memories, have a good time. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course.